here's the thing, though. Are we seeing the same thing as the movie age? I mean, Jesus, you're right about that. I mean, I'm gonna tell you something, Cowboy, and now I can move because I got my Bluetooth what headset, Cowboy. So I'm right now up here in energy, and
Oh,
Whoa,
energy.
what's going
So
on now?
let's get this showdown down. Let me take off my vest, Cowboy, and start the showdown down, sucker. And let me tell you something. PlayStation is the one who's making all them damn remakes and all them damn remasters. Like, I mean, what the hell? Horizon Zero Dawn remake. Why do we need that? Why the hell do we need an Horizon Zero Dawn remake? What's going on with PlayStation, Cowboy? Can you tell me that? Old
listen.
games and stuff like that this generation? Man, Cowboy, come on, man. Come on. What's going on with
Listen.
Jimbo? Jimbo missing
Listen, I'm
out.
tired of
Jimbo's
you guys
missing.
playing these dated artifacts. Let's
I'd rather
move
play
forward.
the damn dated artifacts than having a last generation game make it a remake. What the hell, Cowboy? What's going on with that?
Is this a yelling contest?
Listen, man.
You just joking.
I
All
should
I'm
have
gonna
gotten
tell
my
you is,
popcorn.
all right, let's sit down. Let's sit down.
Because that's the only way I think Luke can win.
Oh no! The thing is, I don't know
It's-
how far it sounds from the microphone. Sorry, guys, if I was
It's
yelling.
because
Sorry.
Crazy will always win because Cowboy Crazy's got the higher pitch voice.
Oh man.
I gotta say this. Dark said, when does Louis look like a Dominican Jim Ross? but you're right though, Cowboy. I mean, we've been getting all them remakes, all these remasters, and seriously, I'll be honest with you. If it's a really old game, I'm cool. I'm down with it. Example, Metal Gears, cool. We got Silent Hill, which that's something that really for me was a big mess up because hey, PT should have come out. PT would have been a freak. I
Yeah.
think that would have been the best, scariest game of Silent Hill out there. I'm not a big Silent Hill fan, but that
Me
would have
neither.
been the best one. PT
Yeah.
was fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, all these remasters and all these remakes, really, it's getting a little bit tired.
Yeah,
One
it
thing
is.
I did not one thing I did not like. Okay, Capcom does it good. I gotta give them credit. They did really good Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 3, they messed up. Seriously, I did not like Resident Evil 3. That was they ruined Nemesis for me.
This is the first time we disagreeing. So my favorite. So
What?
I think the best Resident Evil to me was part 1, but my favorite is part 3. Now,
No, but the original
was better. The original was better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I didn't mind. The reason why I like the part 3 better than part 2. Part 2 they changed so much. They added. I was like, that wasn't in the real game. Part 3 they kept it more close to the real game, and that's why I liked it a little better.
Yo, but Mr. X in part 2, oh my god! I mean, Mr. X was fantastic. I mean, I would have loved having Nemesis like that. Mr. X did an awesome job in Resident Evil 2. That was the best thing about that game. Literally, when you hear those boots, boom, 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 boom. Oh man, that was awesome. But like I was saying, Capcom does it well. But the thing that I played the game, I enjoyed it, yes. But making a Resident Evil 4 again and again and again. I mean, Resident Evil 4 has been repeated. I don't know how many times. It should have gone somewhere else. That's something that I have with Capcom. But either way, though, they make their good games remade. That's good. But PlayStation, seriously, on The Last of Us, you're talking about the graphics and dude. For me, that's a remaster. That's a remaster, remake, remaster. That's what I call it. Seriously, that for me is not a remake. Screw that.
So,
sorry.
I definitely I agree with you that we've seen a lot of this generation, but I would argue because like I'm with you, like we've seen a lot of remasters, remakes, all that stuff. I would argue though that we've seen this for the last couple generations. Ultimately, like I think even early into the Xbox One era and PS4 and stuff, like we saw a lot of like those remasters and remakes, and I think it goes very much to what you're talking about. Is just like in the Xbox One and PS4 era at the very beginning, there wasn't a lot. Like there were good things, but there wasn't a lot, and so they kind of filled it in. They had filler by doing these remasters, remakes, stuff like that. So I don't think it's necessarily just this gen, but I definitely agree. Like we see a trend with this, right? Every time a generation comes out nowadays.
I will say this though: if you go back to the older gens, it was more remasters than remakes, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was more. Yeah, it was more. It was the same game, but now they had 60 frames. It looked better. It was polished. Then I
Yep.
get it. Like, okay, you like that game so much. Now we made it look better. But now it's like we're just gonna take something that we already made and we're gonna like it's like cheating kind of.
Mhm.
It's like if somebody like nowadays you hear everybody's remaking songs and you're like, dude, it's the same song from back in the day. It don't even sound as good. Like,
Yeah.
stop. But
Yeah, I
No,
think
and
I
it's
think
like
Yeah.
the
easy, you know?
I think the
that's
reasoning for that, real quick, is because when you just do like a small remaster, make it looks better. It's harder to justify the price. Now, when you do a remaster, it's easier for them to justify the price. And at the end of the day, it's an easier job than to create a new IP or create a new game. So at the end of the day, these companies, all of them, they just want your money. So
yeah.
that's what they do. Yeah.
But
And
here's
But
some
I,
here's some. Oh. Go Plume. I was gonna say something, but go. So you have time.
Plume
I,
talk.
Who talk?
I was gonna say I think there's a huge difference though between what Xbox is doing with the backwards compatibility and bringing back these older servers for games like Call of Duty and Gears and Shadowrun and that type of stuff than remasters. I think that like it's really important to preserve games. I think these old games people want to play. I don't think it's true that people just want to play new games. I don't think that's true at all. I mean, we saw um, the classic Call of Duty's boom as soon as they brought the servers back on. People want to go back and experience the best versions of these games, even if it's in the original form. And game preservation as a whole is extremely important for the entire medium of video games. And when we're seeing games come offline where you can't access them anymore, you're seeing that people have physical discs of games that they have and they can't play these games anymore. That stuff to me is like extremely, extremely concerning. And I like that Xbox is doing their backwards compatibility stuff. And when we talk about like the backwards compatibility of the Xbox Series, the reason they shut it down, I believe, more so than anything, was because of the licensing fees that they were running into, the problems with that. They had backwards compatibility all the way back with the Xbox One is when they started. This wasn't a series thing.
right.
So I
Yeah.
think like
Yeah.
Yeah.
game
That was.
preservation, old games are extremely important to keep just if you're a fan of the art of video games.
Yeah,
You
but let
tell
me
them,
ask you
Plume.
this
You
though:
tell
Do
them.
you think if they did a survey, right, and they did and seen like truly they did a percentage, you think it'd be a large majority of people that want the old games versus people who
I
are
think a
really
lot,
playing the
yeah.
games?
I would
Like,
say with how much traction we've seen over the last couple of weeks for just Call of Duty alone, I think
dude,
there's
but
I think there's
I think it'd be
maybe
a lot.
more than you're thinking
Yeah.
there is.
I mean,
can
I
we
gotta
be
tell you
a
something,
little,
Cowboy.
huh?
Cowboy, let me say something real quick. I'll give you an
Okay.
example. I'm a big Battlefield fan. I love Battlefield. Now, if they bring back to me Battlefield 3 and they bring those servers up, man, I'll be playing Battlefield 3. It's gonna be my game of this generation.
And
And
so
that
here's the
game came
thing.
out for 360. Why? Because I love how that game played. And after that, for me, all the other Battlefields, I feel like eh. But Battlefield
Now
3, man,
here's
ooh,
the thing.
man, I
You
love it.
probably would. But this is a question I like to ask. Maybe you will. Let's see. Let's see in 2 weeks how many people still playing Call of Duty. I
But
would wonder if they're playing Call of Duty because this ABK deal is so popular. I
Well,
but
wonder because
sure,
let's be
does
honest.
but here's
as a gamer though, sorry, go ahead.
no. I was just gonna say, here's my question. Like, if is it a problem if people see this acquisition and they get excited about a franchise that they enjoyed when they were younger, and they're spending money on this game and then also buying consoles, but also anyone who already has this game, because it's been brought up a couple times in chat, is like, I still have my library, blah blah blah. I don't buy old games anymore. Like, well, now your games can play again. Like, you can play those again with your friends if you
I
have
Mhm.
those games.
like I
Yeah.
listen. The cool thing is I think it's cool, right? I think I like when everybody can do everything. But if it's me, I don't think it's real though. I think you getting excited to play an older game you used to like. Again, used to like, that means you no longer like that game. So older
I
game you
still like
used
it.
to like because
Still
of the
like it.
I,
ABK
s-
deal. I don't
I,
feel like it's real.
I,
I feel
I
like
feel like
if hold
Yo,
up
I,
real quick, if
I
it
feel
was
like
real, you'd have been
Cowboy,
petitioning, bring back this Call of Duty, please. No,
ooh,
everybody moved on.
see. I
Cowboy,
think
Cow-
that's a bit of a false narrative, though,
Okay.
yes, because
because
Cowboy, I got you something I gotta say. When I mentioned earlier, if we have the Alien versus Predator arcade game in the what's that thing? Ant thing?
And,
What's
and
the
fun.
Ant Farm? You said, hey, hey, if that game is on there, and
We got you clipped.
Yeah, and you know what that means? You
That'll
know
be
what that means? It's think about it. It's like if
and the X-Men, you said, and they bring up the X-Men arcade. Man, they can bring the Simpson arcade, the Punisher arcade, RoboCop arcade. They bring all those games in there. I'm telling you, you'll be hopping on there playing them
no.
arcade games.
You know what's
You
gonna
know
happen?
that, baby.
You know what's gonna
You
happen?
know that.
Same thing
What's gonna
happened to me when
happen?
I said my favorite game in the world is Prototype. It came out a remaster. I said, "Oh snap!" Paid, I think it was like $49.99 or $39.99. You get both games remastered. I'm telling you, if I played those games more than a half an hour, you get it's nostalgia, it's
But
feeling, it's adrenaline.
Yeah.
But how long? That's my
I'll
question.
say this
How
real
long?
quick. I will say this real quick. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, bro.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay. Well, I will say this. Like, I like playing multiple type of games, multiple genre. I jump a lot into new games. But for example, one game that I really love and I probably played the most hours is Warcraft 3, the RTS. And no matter how many new games come, there comes a time where I always go back to that game and I play it. And sometimes I rebeat that game again and again. And, there's games sometimes that for certain people, they hit, a certain way. You have a certain memory with that game. That's your favorite game. So as gamers, we all have different tastes. We all have different takes. And there is going to be a large portion that they going to resonate with certain old games. And they always going to go back. I understand you on your end, you just like new games. But we can't say that everyone is the same.
I think
No, I get it, but I think the
yeah,
video game
let's
industry is only around
let,
because of new games.
let,
Like
let, let,
nothing just stops, right? Like
Yeah. Well,
it
the
moves
wheel keeps
forward
spinning.
because it's around because of new games. Now, I'm just saying two things. I wonder if you did a survey, how many people is excited for the old games, and then two, then you do the same thing, and how many people are still playing them after 2 weeks to a month? That's all I'm saying. I'll be curious.
I'm
Well,
just
here's I
if
think
you look real quick
I'll give
before
you.
I'm gonna hand it back to Plume. If you
Yeah.
look at the most played games, usually it's either a new game or is one of the usual suspect. It's GTA 5, it's
Yep.
Elder Scrolls, it's these big games that people have spent hours and hours
Let,
on. So
oh,
those games are years and years away, but people keep
let, let,
playing them because they
Yeah,
love
but
them.
those games
let
have
me
a
give you.
certain fan base that plays them.
Let,
It's not like the general. See, what I'm saying is when you I get what you guys saying, but if you say numbers, right? If you're saying numbers, that's why I said I would like to do a survey, see how many people. One, proving a lot of people want old games that don't prove it because it's do you really want old games? Cool, maybe you do, but are you going to play them? Because if you're not going to play them for a good period of time, then you're wasting the money that could be spent on new games for somebody like me. That's all I'm saying.
Here, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you a big example. Counter Strike is actually one of the most popular
it's huge,
games,
still
Yeah.
huge.
and
I
it's
still
still
play it.
huge. That game is whoo. I mean, Cowboy. I don't know if you were in diapers back in the day when that game came out because I don't know how old you are,
I'm
but
pretty sure I'm
damn.
older than everybody on here.
Okay. But damn, that game is old and people are still playing the hell out of that game.
I was
And I'm
never
gonna
a
give you an
fan. I
example.
think the thing is, I think Counter
And
Strike was a niche game, and that's
and
why I didn't move forward. If Counter
and
Strike was that amazing, where's the part 2 and 3 and 4 and
no, you don't.
5?
Have you played
No,
it
no,
lately?
no, no.
Have you
No,
No, I
played
was
it
never.
Counter
lately?
I was
Strike's one
never
of
a
the
fan of
biggest
Counter
first
Strike.
person shooters ever made.
Shooters
And
out ever made.
it's
Cool.
still one of the biggest ones out there ever
Yep.
made. It's just it doesn't need to have the shiny new graphics and everything for people to want to go and play it.
It just
It's
got an
like at
update
its
though.
core.
It got an
Yep.
update too.
Yeah, just recently, but that was like
Yeah.
how many years after CS:GO? Like I don't even know.
Yeah, but you
Counter
got.
Strike is still that one game that me and my friends every like Christmas when everyone's back home and we're all online, we play together. It's
Yeah,
been
but
like that for years. It's
I think
Oh,
you guys are bringing up. You bring the examples you're bringing up. Warcraft, Counter. You bring up these niche games, right? That's not a general public game. So the problem is, if you did the numbers, it wouldn't be as big as you think. Because it'll be a lot of people that's like, oh, I never even played that. I didn't even care about that game. That wasn't my type of game.
But
You know?
I
Cowboy,
don't think
I don't
Counter
think you
Strike's a
can.
niche game. In the
Yeah.
last
yeah.
24 hours, there's been over
No.
1.1 million people playing it. It's one of the biggest
Yeah.
games like ever.
That it's
Yeah.
number 4, it's position number 4 in the most played game today. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, on
Yeah.
PC games, it's
For
number
years, too.
4 for
I
years.
don't
Minecraft is
think you.
1. Fortnite is 2. The Sims 4. The Sims 4 is number 3, and The Sims 4 is an old game. And
But
Counter
that's
Strike is number
PC. I
4.
mean,
That's
PC is
insane.
a whole
But
little.
But
I
Yeah,
mean,
the
no, but
question, the
that's the
thing here for
same
me,
type of idea, though.
yeah.
the
That's,
thing
I'm
here for
just
me
giving you an
is
example.
listen,
new games come
let's
out.
revisit it in a month. I want to know how many people still
Well,
playing Call of Duty. That's
no,
all.
the thing.
no, but
The thing
all
for me that's the most important out of this entire conversation is like
Yeah.
the numbers are numbers, whatever. We're gamers, and
Yeah.
the reality is there are millions, or maybe not millions, I don't know, thousands, hundreds of thousands of older games that are better than lots of new games that come out. The narrative that only the new games are good is a false narrative. There's so many new games that come out that are significantly worse in story, gameplay, music, like the art of video games than the new stuff that comes out, or than the old stuff that has come out in the past. So the narrative that only new games are pushing the industry forward, I don't believe that as well, because it's like there are new games that come out that haven't done half the things that some older stuff did, like older
Yeah, but
RPGs,
it's
older.
still pushing the industry forward. If that was the case, they wouldn't make new games. They
But
would just be like, you
but
know what? We don't still
Cowboy,
sell old games. We don't
Cowboy,
even need to make
Cowboy,
new games.
if we don't
Every
Cowboy,
look at
company's
those,
trying to make a new game.
if we
Cowboy.
don't
Let
look
me.
at those old games, hold on, crazy.
Yeah.
If we don't
Okay.
look at those old games and we don't learn from what they did in those games, then how do we move forward?
No, but we already
That's the
did
thing,
learn
right?
from the games because
Did,
they old. We played them. That's why they
well,
call old games.
but
We
did we
learned.
learn from it? Because we just got a bunch of remakes on
There's
stuff
a
we
lot of
didn't
people that
need.
never played them.
The
We just got
remakes
a
is
bunch of
they're
remakes
cashing
on something we
in.
didn't need.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? So people would say the originality is dead, right? I think what they're doing is they're remaking games like you don't see a remake of something that was not a good game. They remaking games that because they know they're gonna make the money and they know when they make them, there's no new game out that's tackling it right now. Or maybe they're like, oh wait, the big hit ain't coming out for a while. We're gonna launch this new game or this old game now. It makes sense. Listen, if nostalgia wasn't a thing, you guys are right. You guys are right. I'm just saying if we had a choice versus spending money on an old game, whether to remaster it, remake it, or bring it back, I would rather them just spend the money on make something new because we might get a new franchise, a new favorite game, something cool versus the old game. But and listen, the cool thing is, guys, like Xbox, they're doing an amazing job of letting you play your old games. So the cool thing is we don't really have to worry about that because these companies are putting some, and you know what's cool too is the gamers are pushing Sony. They're like, you got to get on it. They're petitioning, they're crying, and they're complaining, and so that's going to make them have to do something. So the good thing is you guys are getting your way, right? I'm just the guy that feel like I want to go forward, but for the one me and the four of you guys are actually getting your way. So it really doesn't matter.